Hello. This video will take you through all the steps required to install the Fidesic module into your GP environment and hopefully answer any questions that you have. Step one is to make sure that everyone is logged out of GP. To do this install, you're going to need to make sure that everyone is out of GP and that GP is fully shut down on the machine you are running the install. The install process is the same, whether it's a remote desktop machine, a local machine, or a server that is accessed through any number of remote means, but you'll need to shut down GP on the machine where you're running the install. The first thing you're going to need to do is get the installer module itself, and to do so, please contact your Fidesic implementation representative. They will be happy to send you the version that works specifically with your version of GP, so make sure that you send them your exact version of GP prior to getting the module. To start the install, once you've downloaded your module, simply double-click the installer with GP fully shut down. It's also important to run this as an administrator just to make sure that we'll be able to access all the tables that we need. Once the install wizard pops up, simply follow the prompts. Make sure that the destination folder is indeed where your GP is installed locally. The installer should find the correct version of GP, but if you have it installed in a less than normal location, go ahead and browse and make sure you find the folder with your Dynamics GP install. As you can see, the process is very quick. Simply click Finish, and we can move on to Phase 2. Step 2 is to run GP and log in to complete our install. So just like with the module installer, make sure to run as administrator to make sure we can create tables that need to be done. So run as administrator. It'll prompt you to include new code into the dynamic set, which you want to do. And it'll let you know that you need to log on as a system administrator to complete configuration, which is absolutely true. So we will need you to log on as your SA login into GP. And if you have multiple company databases within GP, you're absolutely going to have to log in as SA into all company databases. So once we get through this prompt, we will create the tables that we need within GP. And once GP is fully loaded, you can then log out and switch over to your next database. But logging in as SA is required to all company databases before we move on to our next step. The next step in the process is to run our grant script onto your GP, Dynamics GP company databases. So if you have your databases on a separate server, we'll need you to switch over to that server and open up your Microsoft SQL Server Manager and log into this. The script itself will be provided by your Fidesic implementation manager. So make sure that you have a copy of that script on hand, and then we will need you to run that on all Dynamics company databases. So in this sense, we only have a single database, but again, all company, you don't need to run it on your Dynamics database, but you do need to run this on all company databases. So we'll start a new query. We will paste in our grant script and select our database and make sure to execute on our company database here. And you can select from this dropdown if you're not that familiar with SQL. Execute this script, and we've now authorized access to our tables that we just created by logging in as SA. Step 4 is to configure the module within GP as you need. So again, we can open GP up. Preferably, you want to log in as the system administrator, again, just to assure that you have access to everything you need within our system. It's possible you could have a high-level user that would work, but log in at this stage as SA just to be safe. And then we're going to disable the trigger points that automatically happen within our system. To do so, we'll go to Microsoft Dynamics, Tools, Setup, Company, and Fidesic Company Options. And if your company is going to be using the payables side of our system, you're going to want to disable the receivables triggers. And if you're using the receivables side of our system, you're going to want to disable the payables side of our triggers. So this depends on which version of our system you're using. Obviously, if you are using both, you can keep this unchecked. And if this is a company database that you're not going to be using Fidesic at all, you should disable both sides. This is a company-wide preference, so you need to do this on behalf of each company to assure that we won't have any prompts or pop-ups that you don't need. Step 5 in setting up our system is to allocate the correct permissions through the security roles and tasks in Dynamics GP. If all of your users are power users, you may not need to do this step. You can certainly test and see if the functionality works for the users that need it, but this will assure that users will be assigned the Fidesic tasks that you need. So we'll go to Tools, Setup, System, and then we will go to Security Tasks. We'll create a task name for our system, so we'll do Fidesic. The product should be listed at the very bottom of your product list as e-invoicing, e-pay. Type, we're going to want to do Windows to start. This depends on which product you're doing. If you're doing purchasing side, we will need to add purchasing permissions, accounts receivable side, sales permissions, but we will need to do each permission. I'll just show you a couple examples to show you how this works. We can mark all. Simply go to the next series, purchasing, mark all, and I will provide a list of exactly what you need, but we will need to add all of these permissions to the security task for the products that you need. And just to be clear, we do have multiple types, so it's not just Windows. We will also need you to do reports, and again, you will have a list of exactly what you need. You'll go through and mark all permissions within our system. Same is true with files. Go through and mark all our. And there are no custom reports or service-enabled procedures that you need to do. So once you've selected everything that you need for Windows, reports, and files, you can save this permission. You can give it a category if you want. And category, save this permission. So we've now got a task set up within GP. Now this task will work just like the standard tasks within GP, since there's nothing particularly special about this. You can find a role and then assign the specific task. So if we find our default, and obviously you guys can get as granular as you want with these permissions, but there's no need to do so. Just pick the particular role that you're looking for. I'll just pick one here, and then grab our tasks from each one of these. So our task that we named, security task is Fidesic, add this to the role, and this individual role will then have access to all the tasks that were assigned in the previous step. If you want to get more granular on the task itself, you can do accounts receivable tasks or accounts payable tasks and only assign those permissions to the security task and then assign it to the users as you need. But in most cases, you can simply give people permission to everything. And as a final check to make sure everything worked as it should, if you want to go to cards and either a customer card, or if you go to purchasing and a vendor card, we will add our Fidesic options into the additional menu of both these cards. So if you pull up a vendor, go to additional and hit on Fidesic options, you will then get a pop-up. This will make sure that you have access to the pop-up and all your permissions are set properly. You can check this with the various roles that you have assigned, and you will be all set and ready to start using Fidesic. If you run into any issues during this procedure, please contact your Fidesic implementation specialist. They will be happy to hop on a call and help you resolve any issue you may encounter. Thanks.